Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Rick.
And they're doing the kind of the kind of thing that, and I used to like when I was in the club. You'd walk into a bar with, your snot frozen down your beard and stuff. I thought that was cool. But I'm sober, a little older now, and I don't need to be riding my bike when it's 5 below. These guys ride their bikes. Well, if it's 5 below with the sun up, when you go home at night, you're really going to be cold. So the one guy's a little bit of an idiot, but he's just smart enough to realize how cold it's going to be. And all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I sprained my ankle dancing. I sprained my ankle." Well, you know what? I sprained my ankle dancing. I'm still going to ride my bike. What the hell are you talking about? But I ended up having to ride his bike to my house. Now, I didn't have to go out on the main road, so I was only, I wasn't doing the 60 miles an hour in the cold. But I wasn't dressed for it, and I wasn't looking forward to it. I was kind of pissed off. And his old lady had enough sense to follow him in the car. He got in the car with her, and they followed me over to my house. Well, I didn't have a garage. I had a shed I built for the bike. But in the fall, I took the bike down the stairs into the basement, so the shed was empty. So I got to come to the end of the house, and then I got to turn behind the house and do a U-turn and come up into the shed. And it's like this much snow on top of ice. If I was walking, I'd have fallen down. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I got into the turn there and it slipped. Just, there's nothing I could do about it. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, I got this guy screaming obscenities at me in my backyard. Well, there was a peg broke and the hand grip was broke. I replaced them because I wasn't going to have him saying that whatever. But I'm pissed. And I'm talking to Wayne. And I'm telling Wayne about this. And then Wayne says, "That's nothing." I said, "What do you mean that's nothing?" He says, "He's telling people you were drunk."
What?
Now I'm really pissed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I had been sent to see Reverend Kathy. She was a reverend, but she was also a counselor because I'd gone through a divorce from my first wife. I married her sober. We divorced when I was sober. She went out again, but I was still sober. So I was getting to know Reverend Kathy, but she's a reverend, somebody in the collar there and everything. I treat them with a certain, decorum, and I expect they're going to act that way as well. And I come to Reverend Kathy, and I'm just getting to know her, and I tell her what happened with this guy, telling people I'd been drinking. And she's a little heavy-set woman. She sits forward in her chair. She points at me, and I thought she was going to yell at me. She had a look on her face. She was pissed. He said, "I wouldn't take that shit from God." And I almost died. I was like, holy shit. This reverend just said I wouldn't take that shit from God. Is that, and it was like, for me, it was like, we had like a 28-year friendship. I went back to her for 28 years. She didn't charge me. We became friends. We met on a regular basis. But it all started right there when I realized she's real. There's this person is absolutely 100% what you see is what you get.
You can be sober, but you can still kick someone,
Yeah, I didn't. But I think he probably would have deserved it.
And if someone's talking about you like that, someone's just talking that type of stuff about you, who cares? Like, who cares?
Well, the point is, right? He was wrong. The point is he was wrong, and anybody that wanted to believe him, all right, go ahead. Doesn't make me drunk.
Yeah, anyone that knows you knows,
Right. I mean, Wayne knew. Oh, Wayne was there at night, and he knew I wasn't drinking, but, So she convinced me to go back to school. I graduated from Northern Illinois University with a 3.97 GPA. I graduated magna cum laude. My teachers in high school would be like, "What?" And I loved school. I loved politely challenging the teachers. I think it helped that I worked in the real world. I actually think that these kids going to school shouldn't be allowed to go to college until they've worked for at least a year in the real world. I'll meet professors, and I'll tell you, I believe that I can tell you within 5 minutes of talking to them if they ever had a real job or if they went from student to professor. You know what I mean? They don't have a concept of reality. They don't know what the real world's like. So I did that. I did an internship for a congressman out here in Northern Illinois. No dress, no cigar, nothing like that. You know, I was an intern, but it was cool if you got that joke. But actually, they liked me. We had done work for them when I was in a debate to help get him elected because he was against he supported our, you know, opposition to the helmet law and some of the stupid stuff the state was coming out with. So they got this letter from this congressman in New York asking if they had anyone wanted to be part of the student exchange program with South Korea. So the lady calls up the office and says, ask Rich if he'd like to go to Korea. She says, hey, Rich, you want to go to Korea? I said, yeah. All right. Next thing you know, I got my picture taken with the congressman and I'm off to Korea. I got diplomatic immunity. I mean, if I'd killed somebody in Korea, they couldn't do anything. But the State Department sat us down and told us how unhappy we'd be when we got home.
Yeah.
You know, really unhappy if we caused an incident, if we used that diplomatic immunity at all. And the funny thing is, I got back from Korea, and the new local paper run this picture of myself with the congressman telling about me going to Korea. I got back, and a year or two later, an Army helicopter went down on the north side of the DMZ. And the North Koreans these guys are hurt, but the North Koreans aren't going to give them back because that's just the way they are. They're jerks. What's the local paper going to do? They're going to use the Associated Press story. Somebody remembers that I went to Korea. So I get this phone call asking me, what about all these guys? What the hell do I know about a couple Army guys in a helicopter? I don't know anything. But I answered the questions the best I could. And the next day I pick up the newspaper and I see this Richard R. is an expert on Korea. So I got that going for me. Now it's in the newspaper. I'm an expert on Korea, you know.
They say I'm an expert on motorcycle clubs. I was I was in documentaries and everything. Yeah.
I've become very skeptical when I hear them use the word expert to describe anybody.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty skeptical about it too.
Yeah, I went. I think I mentioned I was the advisor to the student paper at the community college.
A lot of great things being sober, right?
Oh yeah. If I hadn't gotten sober, I don't believe I'd be alive today.
So what's in store for the future for you?
Well, I'm still writing books. I wrote one book here because I got tired of people knocking the United States. They're condemning America and all this white guilt stuff and everything. It's like, no, you're taking a real selective view of America to come up to this conclusion that we should be guilty of white guilt. I mean, yes, slavery was over the whole world, but no country has done as much to strip away the sense of respectability from slavery, and no country has paid the price. If the Civil War was fought today, if people died at the same rate, 6.2 million Americans would die. That's how many people died in the Civil War compared to the population. And I mean, what other country has had the challenges we've had? The only reason that we talk about it is because we care enough, to care about race at all. We care about race because we believe in the Constitution. There was a contradiction in the Constitution about the idea that black slave is 3/5 of a man. Well, that was a contradiction that couldn't stand because we actually believed the principles of the Constitution. What would we have if it wasn't for America? We take everything for granted, and it's like, it pissed me off. So I wrote a book and it's like 112 pages, something like that. And it's just a short thing that really does, as far as I'm concerned, just tears this whole idea of white guilt to shreds.
Some people I see on the internet, you should be ashamed because you're white. I'm not ashamed. I'm proud to be white. I really am.
Well, if you want to start looking at what is the white race and Western civilization gave to the world, I've got a theory about where this all came from, but there's almost nothing in the world that doesn't trace its roots back technologically to what Western civilization did about 600 years ago. all of a sudden technology just blew up, and it's like, why? It didn't happen anywhere else. You just got that it happened in Western civilization for a reason. Nobody else can lay claim to having done it. They can claim that maybe we, invented flush toilets and toilet paper, but technically you couldn't wipe your ass, with toilet paper without Western civilization. And that's just that. That's just a fact. That doesn't make white people superior. Our economic system, our social system, everything is predicated on what they created, and that started in Western civilization that really blossomed with the United States of America.
I think people are equal. I don't care what color you are. People are equal,
Well, you have a chance to be equal. You get to do with your character what you want. I think you and I both know people that their character sucks. They ain't worth crap. I don't consider this person with the way you live your life to be equal. Maybe you'll have an awakening, and you'll figure it out sometime. And I'm all for you if that's the case. But right now, the way this guy's living, this guy or this girl's living their life, I'm not impressed with that. I don't have to. And nobody's. If you start telling me I have to be, then now you're a tyrant, and you're telling me that I don't have freedom of thought. So
with the way that some things are in the country right now, they're trying to change the way, you're supposed to accept this regardless, or you're hating on them types of people. It's really weird out there.
They've taken the concept of liberty and they've twisted it. Liberty gives the right for Americans to live their lives the way they want to, as long as they're not treading on other people.
Yeah.
So how is it liberty to tell me I have to agree with the way that I respect your right to choose how to live your life? If you tell me I have to respect it, now you're a tyrant. I don't have to respect anything. I don't have to respect anything unless I do. And the best you could ever do, even if you did that, is get me to say, yeah, okay, I respect that. No, I don't. You put a gun to my head and maybe I'll say, all right, I respect that. Don't shoot, No, it's that's
France
not real.
France wants their Statue of Liberty back. You hear that?
Well, the guy in France doesn't understand anything. The guy in France, they're making this claim that America. No, it's like Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland and says, "I'll move back when you give people their rights back." What rights? What rights is she talking about? Because they got their rights. What she's assuming,
stay there.
Yeah, she's assuming, because what the government started doing for the last 4 years was they started working behind the scenes. They couldn't do it openly, so they worked behind the scenes, and it's just as bad. When they're working behind the scenes, telling social media companies to censor people, that's still the government. Just because the government put their hand through the glove of some private social media company doesn't mean it's not the government. They're still the same people. And when
all these news stations, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love journalism. It's like when I got sober, what do you want to do? And I went back to school. I want to write books, but you can't just quit your job and become an author if you want to eat at the same time. Yeah. So, it's journalism. I like journalism too. I like the idea that you're challenging people that are somebody's doing something wrong, and you're in a position to challenge that. So these are the books that I really wanted to write, though. I've written 2 of these so far. They're for young adults, and it kind of goes back to it's The Ghost of Lexington and Concord and The Burning Sea of Iron Bottom Bay. So they're fiction. They're historical fiction, and it brings me back to I can remember the day I was in junior high, and they took us down. I wasn't in junior high. I was in 6th grade, and they took us down to the junior high library, and the librarian gave us an introduction and told us about this thing called the Dewey Decimal System that they still use, actually, but and then they turned us loose to go find books, and I went right to the history section, and I picked up this book about the Battle of Lexington and Concord and went home and read it. There's some tough people in motorcycle clubs. there's some tough people that have done some pretty incredible stuff for this country, man.
Yeah,
You know, don't
definitely.
kid yourself. So I want to write books for young adults that would kind of give them that feeling, especially with the kind of crap we're indoctrinating our kids with today, this hate America stuff. I wanted to write something that would no, you have every reason to be proud. I don't like go real heavy on that. It's more of a subtle kind of message in the books. You got every reason to be proud of this country.
Well, I'll share a link in the description of this video of all your books.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to speaking to you in the future. I'll get this out there and people are going to love it, man. They love the old stories from your type of biker lifestyle, and they're going to like this one.
I really am proud of having been a Death's Marauder. You know, I don't, what did I say in the program? You don't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I'm glad to have been a member, and I'm glad to have known the people that I knew when I was in the club.
Definitely, man. You got a great story, and we'll be talking in the future. Maybe we'll do a live with Wayne and get some people on there.
All right, that'd be fun.
People could ask you guys questions and stuff like that. Is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we go?
Well, I'll just mention that Wayne gave a shout out to me and to Steve. Steve and Wayne, I had 2 sponsors when I got in the program. And I did that because I was worried that one of them wouldn't give me the answer I wanted. So I had a second shot if I had 2 sponsors.
It's a good plan.
My friend Steve, who's over here looking at the storm rolling in, he helping out with the phone and stuff here. Give a shout out to him. There's Mike has already asked me to send him. Mike is a guy from my. He's in the Friday Night Men's group that I was in with Wayne when I first started. Serenity Seekers 11. So I'll give a shout out to Serenity Seekers 11. There's AB and stuff like that. Now I don't know which one they are, so I'll just leave it at Serenity Seekers 11. And you know, if any of them hear it, that give a shout out to the Death's Marauders, man.
I look forward to speaking with you in the future, and thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.